Deontology is an important ethical theory that focuses on duties, rules, and moral obligations rather than the consequences of actions. The word deontology comes from the Greek word deon, which means duty, and logos, which means study or science. Therefore, deontology can be understood as the study of duty in moral philosophy. According to this theory, actions are considered morally right or wrong based on whether they follow certain moral rules or duties, not based on the outcomes they produce. Deontology argues that some actions are inherently right or wrong, regardless of their consequences. This approach to ethics contrasts with other theories, such as utilitarianism, which evaluates actions primarily based on the results they produce. One of the most influential philosophers associated with deontological ethics is Immanuel Kant, an 18th-century thinker whose work greatly shaped modern moral philosophy. Kant believed that morality is grounded in reason and that all rational individuals have a duty to follow moral laws. He argued that moral actions are performed out of a sense of duty rather than from personal desires, emotions, or expected benefits. According to Kant, a person acts morally when they do something simply because it is the right thing to do, not because they hope to gain something from it or avoid punishment. This idea emphasizes the importance of intention in determining the moral value of an action. A key concept in Kant's deontological ethics is the categorical imperative. This principle is a universal rule that determines whether an action is morally acceptable. Kant formulated the categorical imperative in several ways, but one of the most well-known formulations is that people should act only according to rules that they would be willing to see become universal laws. In other words, before performing an action, a person should ask whether it would be acceptable for everyone to act in the same way in similar situations. If the rule cannot logically be applied to everyone without causing contradictions or problems, then the action is considered morally wrong. This principle encourages individuals to think about the fairness and consistency of their actions. Another important formulation of the categorical imperative emphasizes respect for human beings. According to Kant, people should always treat others as ends in themselves, rather than merely as means to an end. This means that individuals should respect the dignity, autonomy, and rationality of other people. Using someone purely as a tool to achieve personal goals is morally wrong because it ignores their inherent worth as human beings. This idea has had a significant influence on modern discussions about human rights, equality, and respect for individuals in society. Deontological ethics places great importance on moral duties. Duties are moral obligations that individuals are required to follow, regardless of personal preferences or outcomes. Examples of such duties include telling the truth, keeping promises, respecting others, and avoiding harm. From a deontological perspective, lying is considered wrong, even if it might lead to good consequences in some situations. For example, if a person lies to gain an advantage or to manipulate others, the action is morally wrong because it violates the duty to be honest. The focus is therefore on the moral rule itself, rather than on whether the lie produces beneficial results. This strong emphasis on rules and duties provides a clear and structured approach to moral decision-making. Deontology helps individuals understand what is expected of them morally and encourages consistency in ethical behavior. Because the theory is based on universal principles, it aims to treat all individuals fairly and equally. Everyone is expected to follow the same moral rules, regardless of their social status, cultural background, or personal interests. In this way, deontology promotes justice and respect for persons as fundamental moral values. Deontological ethics also plays an important role in many professional and legal contexts. For example, professions such as medicine, law, and education often rely on codes of ethics that outline the duties and responsibilities of practitioners. Doctors have a duty to respect patient confidentiality and to act in the best interests of their patients. Lawyers are expected to uphold justice and follow the rules of the legal system. Teachers have a responsibility to treat students fairly and to provide honest and accurate information. These professional duties reflect the deontological idea that certain actions must be followed because they are morally required, regardless of potential benefits or personal gain. However, deontology has also been criticized by some philosophers. One common criticism is that strict adherence to moral rules can sometimes lead to difficult or unrealistic situations. For instance, if telling the truth would cause serious harm to someone, critics argue that it might be morally acceptable to lie. Deontological theory may struggle to address such complex cases because it prioritizes rules over consequences. Critics also claim that different duties may conflict with each other. For example, a person might face a situation where the duty to tell the truth conflicts with the duty to protect someone from harm. In such cases, it can be difficult to determine which duty should take priority. Despite these criticisms, deontology remains one of the most influential ethical theories in philosophy. Its emphasis on duty, moral rules, and respect for individuals continues to shape discussions about ethics in many fields, including politics, law, and human rights. The idea that people should act according to universal moral principles and treat others with dignity has had a lasting impact on modern moral thinking. In conclusion, deontology is a moral theory that focuses on duties, rules, and the intrinsic rightness or wrongness of actions. It teaches that ethical behavior is based on following moral obligations rather than pursuing desirable outcomes. Influenced strongly by the work of Immanuel Kant, deontology highlights the importance of intention, universal moral laws, and respect for human dignity. Although it faces challenges in dealing with complex situations and conflicting duties, the theory provides a powerful framework for understanding moral responsibility and guiding ethical behavior in both personal and professional life. Through its focus on duty and respect for persons, deontology continues to play a central role in the study of moral philosophy and ethical decision-making.